The use of pronouns has become a controversial issue in America. Just to recap, when Joe Biden became president, he put everyone into lockdown. Everyone was trapped inside their homes, and they were fed information about pronouns on social media. Think about that. 3.5 years ago, none of us had ever heard about this pronoun thing. And suddenly, it's everywhere. This is a massive change to happen in such a short time. We had people like Dylan Mulvaney, who's a biological man who uses the pronouns of a woman. But I don't think that people understand how far this has gone. I'm going to be exposing the real agenda behind pronouns. The issue around pronouns deals with people who are transgender, people who believe they were born in the body of the opposite sex. So someone might have been born a biological man, but they think they are a woman. They want people to refer to them with she, her pronouns. Sometimes people feel like they don't conform to any specific gender category, and they want to be referred to with they, them pronouns. They exist as a plural. This already is too crazy for a lot of people. If you look at the acronym LGBTQ+, the first part, lesbian, gay, and bisexual, all by definition mean that there are only two genders. Lesbians are women who like women, gay means men who like men, bisexual is bi, meaning two genders. So this idea of a plural gender or multiple genders is the rest of the acronym. And it's something different from LGB because if you combine both parts of the acronym, it doesn't make logical sense. But what a lot of people don't know is that the other acronyms, trans, queer, and all the others that get added, end up going so much further than people realize. There's a concept called neo-pronouns. This is someone from TikTok named Jeffrey Marsh explaining this concept.
Neo-pronouns, literally new pronouns, refers to the creation of a new word, a neo-word, to go in that slot. So a common one is Z. If my pronoun was Z, you would say Jeffrey is a brilliant thinker. Z is one of the most attractive people I've ever seen.
People have started making up new pronouns. These are words that have not traditionally been used as pronouns before. These are pronouns like Z here, am, or who. Each of these has a different meaning behind it, and the idea is that there is an unlimited number of possible genders that someone can be. People who use neo-pronouns think that we should ignore biological labels like male or female and instead pick whatever gender people feel like. So I'm going to walk you through some of the options of what gender you can be. People who are transage believe that age is a social construct. Instead of being born in the wrong body, these people were born with the wrong age, and they feel age dysphoria. Now, I'm aware that people lie about their age all the time, but now it can be your gender. But a lot of these situations are more extreme than simply shaving a few years off your age.
We'll play board games, listen to Disney music.
Arts and crafts, coloring. I'm a full-time baby girl.
Yep, Michelle prefers to spend her day dressing and acting as a toddler, living a fetish more commonly known as DDLG, which is all about kinky age play.
What DDLG stands for is Daddy Dom, little girl. I'm her daddy, and she's my little girl, and I take care of her 24/7, just like you would a child.
I like to have a bottle each night when I go to bed, and gotta have my pacifier.
Stanley might be 31 years old, but for the past 18 years, he has gone to remarkable lengths to remain young at heart.
It's one thing to play pretend in the privacy of your own home, but I hope these people realize that you cannot change the laws of physics. There's an actual date on your birth certificate. Whether you like it or not, you can't change that reality.
I've gone back to being a child. I don't want to be an adult right now.
have a mommy and daddy, a adopted mommy and daddy, who are totally comfortable with me being a little girl, and their children and their grandchildren are totally supportive. And, we have a great time, and we color, we do kid stuff. It's called play therapy.
There's a lot of people worried about their safety because I identify as a 6-year-old. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter. And we will show you what transphobia and what trans support look like. Become a trans ally.
These are grown adults who want to play with young children. Does anyone else find this concerning? In 2018, this issue actually played out in court. Someone named Joseph Roman assaulted 3 girls between the ages of 6 and 8. He claimed he was a 9-year-old trapped in a 38-year-old's body. This is one example of how transage can pose a threat to other people. Another gender is trans species. This is also referred to as therian. This describes someone who wants to transition into another species. You could be any animal, cats, dogs. Here is someone who identifies as a bisexual.
I'm going to start off with, these would be used exactly how you would use they, them pronouns. So instead of saying that's their coat, you would say that is B's coat. Or instead of saying they love themselves, you would say B loves B self.
I have to be honest. I'm not sure I understand this one. Is this person sexually attracted to bees? I don't know about you, but bees are kind of scary. I don't want to be around bees. Why would this person want to transition from a human to a bee? Cats are another popular gender. The pronouns would be kitty, kitten self. Now, I have heard Democrats try and downplay this and say that this is not really happening. That is gaslighting. It is happening. That's why I'm showing you these videos. Here's a video from a substitute teacher that was fired because one of her students thought they were a cat. The teacher would not meow back to them, and she was fired.
Well, I'm looking at the seating chart as I'm going up and down the rows and marking who's here and who's not. I get to the 3rd row and I hear this meow. Excuse me? Excuse me? I start looking on the ground. Go to the 4th row, everything's good. Go to the 5th row, everybody's there. Then I hear meow. I'm like, okay, what's up with that? Who's doing it? And this little girl in the very front row says, you have to meow back at him. He identifies as a cat. Are you kidding me? I said, is there a litter box in here somewhere? My sarcasm self probably shouldn't have said that. He gets up and he storms out of the classroom. And I'm like, rough. And of course, the entire class is laughing. And I think, no problem, no foul. I go to the office. You ready for this? To check out. They said, we no longer need your services if you can't identify with all the children in the classroom. And you wonder why they don't have any subs.
She was fired because she would not treat this child as a cat. If you still don't believe me, here's a video of a child in class hissing and scratching at the other students. Here's a video of a boy who thinks he's a fox. The pronouns would be fox, fox self. This is happening on his birthday, where he's receiving a fox costume.
Put them on, they look really good. Trust me, I tried them on, put them on. I tried them on, they look realistic. You look just like your stereotype. Let me just fix them for you. Okay, now open the other one quickly, because I'm running out of seconds. Bro. It's a tail! It's a faux fur tail. A faux fur tail is tails that are made out of non-real fur so that no foxes were harmed in the making of this. Okay. Try it on. Try it on. Are you excited? Yeah.
Now you might be thinking this is just playing dress up. No, it's not. The caption on the video is, "My Fox Therian brother unboxing his first ever Therian gear for his birthday." This is about a boy who is transitioning to another species. I'm concerned that it looks like his mother is sitting there going along with this. Here's another person. I don't know exactly what kind of animal this is, but it looks to be like some kind of dinosaur.
I've been meaning to tell you this for a long time, and you've probably seen me wear this mask and do TikTok videos all the time, but do you know what a furry is?
I think I do know what a furry is.
Well, I'm a furry. Are you okay with that? Like, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think it's kind of like having a holiday like Halloween every day of the year. And Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. So it's perfectly fine with me.
All right. Well, thank you.
I remember growing up as a kid. I don't know about you, but I wanted to be a dinosaur. I didn't realize it, but I was just trans species. Another popular gender is people transitioning to dogs. The pronouns would be pup, pup, self.
So physically, I am a British Columbia wolf, black fur, amber eyes, and the reason I know this is when I dream, a lot of times I am in my wolf form, and I have also had third-party dreams where I've seen myself, and my thought process, I think, is wolf-like. Obviously, I don't have a machine that can read the mind of a wolf, but based on observed behaviors of a wolf and their response to stimuli, etc., I feel like it very much applies to me.
Is it just me, or do some of these pronouns just seem like mental illness? Before pronouns were a thing, we used to just call this crazy.
When I identify as a wolf, I see a wolf and it's an automatic association. It's like, that is me. I don't know how, but that energy, that entire form embodies me. You can't have this idealistic, wonderful view of something that isn't in line with reality and identify as that. When I identify as a wolf, I am a wolf. I'm not saying I'm sadistic and want to tear small animals apart. I'm just saying I identify with wolves because I'm a wolf.
Now you might think, what is the harm in letting these people play pretend? Why can't this person just be a wolf? You need to understand that it is more serious than that. These people are taking drugs to transition to whatever gender this is.
I have my appointment scheduled for hormone replacement therapy. I've been experimenting with makeup. That actually looks really good. I don't usually put this much on, but I kind of like it. I kind of do this wolfy style, if you can tell. I try and make it look dark and kind of like mischievous, mysterious. I'm still new, I need some tips and stuff, but I love expressing myself this way.
I don't know how doctors are prescribing medication for this, but they are. People are also going through body modifications to become a different species. Here is someone who transitioned to become a cat. Here is someone else who transitioned to become a lizard. One thing I don't understand about all of these pronouns is if anyone decides to detransition and go back to their biological sex, they receive so much hate. I have heard the most horrible stories from people who just wanted to stop being trans. I thought the whole point of pronouns was that people could identify as whatever they want. Why can't people give the same level of support and acceptance to people who identify as a detransitioner? Isn't that strange? Maybe these pronouns are not actually about acceptance, but about a deeper agenda. Another new gender is Dreamsexual. In case you don't know, Dream is a YouTuber who plays a video game called Minecraft. He won a world record for speedrunning and later admitted to being a cheater. Now, I'm not entirely sure why, but some people are obsessed with Dream. He has become so popular that people are now changing their gender to Dreamsexual. The pronouns would be Dream, Dream Self.
I personally define my own being Dreamsexual as, I just feel like him as a person, he understands me and people like me more than anyone else. And does anyone want to talk about it?
No, not really.
Okay, well, this is kind of awkward. Um, okay, well, guys, it's really silent.
What?
This is making me really anxious. Is anyone gonna, like, respond to me? Hello?
Is this making anyone else feel uncomfortable? What's going on here?
Well, I define it as just being attracted to Dream and his energy. And, yeah.
Man, I must be blind.
But, if you don't want to support me...
Are you trolling?
It's not, I'm not trolling. It's just, I have a lot of issues.
I'm feeling old, but back in the old days, this used to be called just being a fan of someone. Now, it can become your gender. This is another example that your gender can be anything you want it to be. Another alternative is you can choose the gender of inanimate objects. For instance, your gender could be an egg. Your pronouns would be egg, egg self.
Today I'm going to show you how to use egg, eggs pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Here's how to use egg, eggs pronouns in sentences. Egg has a strong sense of self and is confident in egg self and egg's abilities. Egg is proud of egg self and all the accomplishments that egg has achieved, and egg is not afraid to show it. I do like eggs, like I do like eating eggs, but at the same time I always get that little ick where it's like, ooh, I like it, and then it's like,
I'm feeling a little bit of ick after watching that video. Here are some examples of yellow-themed pronouns: honeycomb, honeycomb self, cheese, cheese self, orange juice self, and pie, pie self. You can use this if you identify as a glass of orange juice. Now, I like drinking orange juice as much as the next guy, but I don't know if I would make it my gender. Now, if you don't think this was crazy enough, it gets even crazier. You can also choose your gender based on mythical creatures. This is a situation where your gender is so removed from reality that you are transitioning to be a creature that does not even exist. For instance, fairy genders are actually really popular. The pronouns would be fae, fair.
Fae is one of my neopronouns, so I use they, fae, and pup pronouns currently. And fae for me is because I am a fairy, I am fairy gender, and fae is really just validating for that part of my identity. So yeah, fae pronouns because I'm a fairy. Help it up.
These are people who think they are fairies. You know, the mythical creatures that live in the forest. It doesn't matter that they don't really exist. These people are transitioning to become fairies.
This is Mint, a real-life fairy. Or should I say she claims to be a fairy. Not only does she believe she's a fairy, she also says she can see and talk to other fairies. It would be very easy to dismiss her as being crazy or delusional or mentally unstable.
Another example is orc pronouns. Orcs are the creatures from the Lord of the Rings books.
Hey there, kinfolk. I know the world can sometimes feel like a forest full of unknowns and darkness, but remember, every member of our tribe, even an orc like me, has faced moments of doubt. The secret isn't in never feeling afraid or hopeless. It's in taking a deep breath and stepping forward anyway.
Wow. This is a lot to take in. I know for Star Trek conventions, one of the things is you can dress up like a Klingon, and there's a whole group of people who pretend to be an alien species. Is this the same kind of thing? I thought it used to mean that you were just a big fan of the show. Now it turns out it's a gender. Another gender option is to be a dragon. The pronouns would be dragon, dragon self.
I want to talk about being dragonkin, my dragon self, if you want to call it that. I discovered that I'm dragonkin long before I discovered that I was plural. Dragons have always been like an intrinsic part of not really my identity, but also just a a creature that I've been like fascinated with, especially like atypical designs of dragons, talking about specifically talking about like dragons with fur, dragons with feathers. Like I've always loved dragons, and I didn't realize that it was because I was relating so heavily to them.
You can be a dragon? I'm not gonna lie, this gender is kind of fire. In case you're not confused yet, we need to talk about another new gender called Abrosexual. This means that people can have fluctuating genders over time.
Abrosexual is a fluid or changing sexuality. It's not one that stays stagnant all the time. For example, some days you might feel attracted to all genders, whereas some days you only feel attracted to your same gender, some days only different genders. Really, the sky's the limit. I view abrosexual as the sexuality version of the label gender fluid.
So if I understand this correctly, you can change your gender multiple times whenever you want. Here is someone who has different genders for different groups of people.
I've added a new set of pronouns to the pronouns that I'm comfortable being called. I've been sitting on Faye, Fair, Fair's pronouns for a while. My other thing about this new set of pronouns is that I would only like for queer and trans people to use them for me. Cis-het people, they, them. Queer and or trans people, you can use they, them, or Faye, Fair.
So their gender changes based on who they're talking to? How are any of us supposed to keep track of people's pronouns if they keep changing them? Here is someone explaining the concept of gender seasons.
For a lot of trans and non-binary individuals, you may also find yourself changing or exploring your expression or gender identity depending on the season. Now, this isn't saying that all trans individuals experience this, because that's just not the case, or that seasons determine your gender identity or expression. However, it can influence it. For myself, I feel more masculine in the summertime. I wear more masculine clothing, I wear shorts, I normally have my hair up more, and I just feel more boy. Whereas in the wintertime, for some reason, girl mode comes out and I'm loving skirts and dresses and having my hair down. And this might be because in the summertime I get sensory issues because of the heat, so I wear my hair up and I wear less clothing. Whereas in the winter I'm in multiple layers, so I can wear stuff that is a bit more girly or girl coded or a bit more frilly, because I can experiment with the layers to make it a combination of masc and femme that suits me.
Let me just put something out there. Is it possible that it's just hot in the summer, so that makes you want to wear different clothes than you do in the winter? This is what I don't understand. How is this not extremely offensive to trans people? If someone is truly experiencing gender dysmorphia and they feel trapped inside the body of the wrong gender, then this idea that people can just change their gender at will should be extremely offensive. It seems to me that people who claim to be abrosexual are destroying the argument of people who claim to be trans. Then we get to another category of gender, called xenopronouns.
Xenopronouns refers to any pronoun a person has that is unspeakable, that is unworkable in the language of a person. So an example would be a xenopronoun would be a word, I can't even say it, right? Because that's the point. They're unsayable and sort of effervescent and unknowable, kind of like a person's gender. That's why I love this one. So an example would be, a xenopronoun would contain a set of letters that is a pronunciation that a human being can't pronounce. It's some sound that a human being can't pronounce. Or that a xenopronoun contains an image or a concept that it's alluding to that is actually something that language has no way to express.
These are pronouns that are unspeakable. How are we supposed to function as a society with these pronouns? This could be a collection of letters that are impossible to pronounce. Or your pronoun could be a series of flashing lights. So if you're having a conversation with someone, instead of using pronouns, you would take out your flashlight and flash it in their face. Here's where you really start to understand what is going on. I did some research. Xenogender was a term that was created in 2014 on the website Tumblr by a user named Baphomet. Baphomet, of course, is the goat-headed figure that is the symbol used by the Church of Satan. Once you understand this, you start to see a pattern, because a growing number of these genders relate to spiritual beings. Ghost gender is a popular one. The pronouns would be ghost, ghost self. These are people who identify with an entity in the afterlife.
But how I like to describe the ghost pronouns is it's like a further, deeper description of my gender personally. Another one of our alters, Gabe, he also uses ghost self sometimes. He could technically be considered a ghost because of his source, but also because of his source, he doesn't consider himself a ghost. But he uses it because of that. I personally use it because it's just more comfortable for me and better describes how my gender feels to me.
This is pretty morbid. These people identify as ghosts. I certainly hope that these people are not taking medication that will transition them to the afterlife. Another example is demon gender.
Hi, my name is Liana. I use they demon pronouns.
For the demon pronouns, it would be Liana is my partner, Deem is cute, and I belong to Deem. I love Demon very much, and I hope Deem loves Demon self too. Then interchanging the two would be Liana is my partner, they are cute, and I am Deem's. I love Demon very much, and I hope they love Demon self too.
I'm starting to see a satanic undercurrent to these pronouns, but the most shocking gender to me was people who identify themselves as gods. They use the pronouns God, God self.
And extra, thank you for asking about my neopronouns. Please use my neopronouns. I cannot beg enough. Please use them. But anyways, this is how you conjugate them. So it's nothing special. I got these pronouns off of that pronoun suggestion master list on Tumblr. It was under royal and divinity because if you didn't know, my gender is very connected to deities like gods and demons and angels and things like that. That's literally what the pronoun stands for. De is short for deity.
So these people are declaring themselves to be a god. That means if you're a religious person who believes there's only one true God, like a Christian, you're going to have to denounce your religion and bow down and worship this person's pronouns.
My connection with nature, with energy, with the Fae, is mine alone. Believing in these things to me is the same as believing in a God and believing in heaven and angels. It's the same thing. If you can believe in something that you can't see, then what is the difference, really? It can be angels for you, it can be fairies for me, and we can both be happy.
With all these examples, it certainly seems like there's a lot of religious undertones to these pronouns. It seems like they're being used by the Satanic Church to eliminate Christianity. In my opinion, I don't think these pronouns are about gender at all. I think it's about taking away your freedom of speech. I think it's about taking away your freedom of religion. You don't believe me? Let's hear what Jeffrey Marsh has to say.
Let me tell you something about LGBTQ rights, about trans rights. This is only going in one direction. You will respect us. You can be upset. You can be angry. You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you. But it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us.
This is about control. They want to forget freedom of speech. They're going to force you to use their pronouns. If they want to call themselves a god, you're going to have to denounce your own god and acknowledge their pronoun. Think about a rebellious teenager. What teenager wouldn't want to become a god and force their parents to bow down to them? Think about it. Even with the other pronouns, like calling yourself a bee or calling yourself a fox, it's the same thing. You're setting yourself up as a false god that other people have to worship. You're saying, forget reality, forget your rights, my opinion is the truth, and you're going to bow down to it. Pronouns are a religion. It's a religion based on Satanism. And if the government doesn't allow the Bible to be taught in schools, why are they allowing Satanism to be taught in the form of pronouns? If you think I'm being overdramatic, let me tell you, it didn't take much research to find actual people complaining about this. Here's a post I found on Reddit. There's a coworker who I found out has God-self pronouns. This coworker identifies as non-binary and prefers the pronouns God and God-self. This person explained it as a xenogender called God-gender. This person gets very furious if someone doesn't use them, such as when people are talking about this coworker amongst themselves. I'm just gonna come out and say it. This makes me feel really uncomfortable. I'm Muslim, moved to the United States a year ago, so it just feels wrong to me to call a human being a god. This is coming to your life sooner than you think. It is coming to your job, it's coming to your neighborhood. You're gonna find yourself in a position where if you do not acknowledge someone else as a god, you're gonna be fired, lose your friends, lose your house. You're gonna have to choose between your religion and losing everything. What are you going to do? I don't think people understand how important this coming presidential election is. Kamala Harris is a big fan of using pronouns. Here is Kamala stating her pronouns during a debate in 2020.
Good to see you, Senator. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
How are you? Anna, thank you guys. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her? Mine too.
All right.
All right, first question for the night.
The moderator says it's his pronouns too. This is starting to get confusing. Here's some more video. This is how Kamala starts a meeting.
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
Can we just have Trump back? I don't remember any of this stuff in the White House when he was president. But it gets worse. It was reported in the Washington Post that during Kamala's first year as vice president, she was receiving an intelligence briefing. She was given this presentation by a female intelligence officer about a female foreign head of state. During the conversation, Kamala felt they were using gender-biased language. So she ordered a full training by the intelligence community about gender-acceptable language. Just so you understand what happened, Kamala's a woman. The intelligence officer was a woman. They were talking about a woman, and somehow this conversation was not gender neutral enough for Kamala. She cares deeply about these pronouns, so much so that rather than have our intelligence agencies focus on things like, I don't know, keeping our country safe, Kamala has them learning about pronouns. But it gets worse. This is Kamala talking about her transgender policy for the prisons during her time as Attorney General of California.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, which was a client of mine, I didn't get to choose my clients.
Right, a client of the Attorney General.
A client of the Attorney General, right. Of the Office of Attorney General, that they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. And I believe it was not only, I know it was historic in California, but I believe actually it may have been one of the first, if not the first in the country, where I pushed for that policy in a Department of Corrections.
But it gets worse. This is CNN reacting to Kamala's position on transgender surgery for illegal migrants.
A K-File investigation has uncovered, meantime, a 2019 questionnaire. And in this questionnaire, Harris laid out some much more liberal stances, among them on immigration.
Yeah, and this was a questionnaire that she filled out for the ACLU, and this questionnaire is really an interesting snapshot in time of that 2019 Democratic primary. Kamala Harris was trying to get to the left of Bernie Sanders. She was trying to get to the left of Elizabeth Warren, and you really see that in a lot of these answers, and I want to walk our viewers through a little bit of what she said. Let's just take immigration and look at what she said here. She said on immigration, she made this open-ended pledge to end immigrant detention. She said she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She also said she supported
taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She actually said she supported that.
She both wrote and answered in the affirmative when she was asked this. And she said she also supported it for federal prisoners.
Kamala's position is so radical, even CNN is shocked by it. She wants the U.S. to pay for transgender surgery for illegal aliens. But it gets worse. In her current campaign for president, if you want to apply for a job on the Kamala Harris website, the application looks like this. It gives you all these options that you can pick for your gender. And if your gender does not appear, you can write it in. Now, most people look at this and their eyes just kind of glaze over. It's just a bunch of different options, but you should be paying attention to this because these pronouns mean something. Do you recognize this? Because we talked about it. One of the options is fae, fair. These are people who identify as fairies. Kamala Harris is hiring them for her campaign. Do you understand what this means? If Kamala Harris wins the presidency, she is going to hire people who think they are mythological creatures to run the US government. That is what is at stake in this election. I know I've been bashing the Democrats a lot in this video, but these pronouns are starting to affect Republicans too. There's a senator in Texas named Ted Cruz. He also announced that he is going to start using new pronouns.
I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she's required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Now I want to hear from you. What are your pronouns? Go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Once again, my video last week got demonetized by YouTube. But I have been able to keep making these videos because of the support from channel members like you. If you're interested in joining, you can sign up for $6 a month on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. Thank you so much for believing in this channel. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.